Hey, what's going on everyone? This is iReviews back with another video, and today we're talking about the latest iOS 16.6, which is currently on the second beta, and something really important we need to discuss in this video. So we have a lot to talk about, and let's get started first with iOS 16.6. So basically, this is the end of iOS 16. Apple didn't introduce any new features on this update. Unfortunately, they even removed some stuff. So with the first beta, you could see like traces of the new contact key verification feature, but on iOS 16.6 beta 2, you won't be able to actually find it. They have removed it. Even though we know that feature is coming in 2023, most likely that will be part of the new iOS 17. So if you go to settings on beta 1, you could find the contact key verification here, even though it didn't lead anywhere. But now with beta 2, they have completely removed that. So basically a step backwards there. Also, the other feature that was actually on iOS 16.5 beta 1 and then it had been removed didn't make any appearance on iOS 16.6 whatsoever. So the feature is the ability to record the screen with Siri. You won't be able to do that. We can try that. Record the screen. But it just won't happen. Siri won't do anything. So basically a few steps backwards with iOS 16.6, but of course a very small update, which most likely is the last big update to iOS 16, as we're getting very close to the release of the new iOS 17, which will go on beta on Monday, and of course Apple will have most of the focus right there. So there are still some bugs remaining on iOS 16.6, so of course a ton of bugs, but some that I've seen that have impacted a lot of users that are actually very important is the ability to update apps on the App Store. I have seen a lot of reports from different users on Reddit that they are not able to actually update their apps, and another one for Siri, which is basically a bug that won't allow Siri to play similar music for the Apple Music app. So those are two of the main bugs that will have a bigger impact on users, and a lot of users have reported that they had those bugs on their devices, and we have some very serious to talk about in a few minutes here, a bug that really should alarm a lot of iOS users. But first of all, let's just get iOS 16.6 out of the way and let's take a look at its performance. How does it perform being the last big update to iOS 16? Even though it doesn't have any new features, it's still a 0.6 update, so it should be good, right? So here we have the Geekbench scores for iOS 16.6. We have the multi-core score at 6,373, while the single core score is at 2,520. Now, taking a look at 16.5 here, you can see that we have quite a big decrease here on the multi-core score, while we also have a sliding decrease there on the single core score, but this is more important. You can see right here we have like 200 points down there, but of course again Apple probably is not focusing as much on this update as they should, because they're moving on to the new stuff that they're releasing at WWDC 2023. Now let's talk about the battery real quick. Now taking a look at the battery here, you can see what we got in the last few days. So right here we have at around 80% battery, 9 hours and 4 minutes. Here we have 75% battery, 8 hours, so it's actually quite good. And here we have about maybe 90% battery, 11 hours and 53 minutes on the screen. So battery life is actually quite good, and it's actually better than iOS 16.5. So if you're having problems with the battery on iOS 16.5, I think iOS 16.6 will be a bit better for you and hopefully fix the battery drains that a lot of users are actually experiencing with their devices running on iOS 16.5. So what to expect next from iOS 16.6? Well, we are currently on the second beta, and taking a look here at the build number, we can see it ends with a D, and most likely we will get another beta, maybe 2 at the maximum, before we get the RC version and then the final release. So this upcoming week, of course, we have WWDC 2023 and of course the first beta of iOS 17, so I wouldn't expect Apple to actually release any betas of iOS 16.6 this week here. So on the 12th or 13th probably will be the day when we see the third beta of iOS 16.6, and then the RC version most likely the next week after that. But for the final release of iOS 16.6, I would expect it to be somewhere right here at the end of June, probably on the 26th, or at least on July 3rd. These are the dates where I would expect iOS 16.6 to come out to the public. And now let's talk about something really important that Apple has released yesterday, and that's the iOS 16 adoption. And I will show you guys why this is important, because as I said, we have a very serious bug to talk about. So you can see right here, currently we're talking iPhones here, 81% of all devices introduced in the last 4 years run iOS 16. You can see right here we have iOS 15 at 15% of devices. Now you think that's good, of course the adoption is great there, but it's actually not that good. If you have a device that can run iOS 16, please don't leave it on iOS 15. Make sure you update that device because it's really important. I know a lot of people maybe have multiple devices or older devices, and even if you have those and maybe not use those daily, make sure that you update them to iOS 16, because there's a very serious bug that is affecting devices on iOS 15.7 and older. And we're going to talk about that in a second here, but you can see 15% of devices, there are a lot of devices on iOS 15, and that it shouldn't be there. They should be updated immediately to iOS 16, and this is the reason why. So here we have a report from Kaspersky that talks about this serious bug that I talked about. This is basically a bug for the iMessage app. So you can see right here what they say, what they know so far about this bug, this flaw, whatever you want to call it. So the target iOS devices receive a message via iMessage with an attachment containing an exploit. So basically you will receive a message on your device with that exploit without you doing anything at all. You don't have to click a link or open something. You will just receive that message on your device. You can see here it says without any user interaction. The message will trigger basically the exploit. Basically the code will exploit your device, so that's really dangerous. Now I have read this article right here, and you can see where it says that it affects devices on iOS 15.7 and older. So that's really risky. And from what I read here on this article, if you want to take a look at it, I will leave it linked right down below in the description of the video. The report says that if your device is infected with this virus or whatever that is, you won't be able to retrieve your data. The only way to actually remove this from your device is to just completely restore your device, of course causing you to lose all of the data that you have on your iPhone. Even if you reboot your device or that gets removed, they can reinstall it on your device. So the only way to actually completely remove it is just do a clean restore on your device, basically restore everything to factory settings. That's the only way to remove this. That of course will cause all of your data to be lost. You don't want to do that. What you want to do, the smart way, is to update your device to iOS 16 as soon as possible. So what's next about iOS 16? Well, there's nothing much left here for iOS 16. We might see iOS 16.7 coming out sometime maybe in summer. Last year, Apple released iOS 15.7 during summer without like any beta stages. So we could see that this year as well, or most likely we will see just some 16.6 point updates probably coming in the next few months during summer, and of course during the year as well. Of course, from now on we're moving to a new stage, to iOS 17, which will go on its first beta this Monday at WWDC 2023. Of course, at 10 a.m. Pacific we have the event, and then of course probably like 2 or maybe 2.5 hours after the event is done, we will get the first dev beta of iOS 17, which this year you will be able to install it only by using a dev account, which will cost you $100 per year. So if you have that, you will be able to install it. If you don't, you will have to wait for the public beta, which most likely will happen sometime in July. Probably maybe the 2nd or 3rd week of July will be the time where we'll see the first public beta of iOS 17. That of course will allow a lot of users to actually download it and try it out on their devices. So that's basically it for this video, guys. iOS 16 is basically done for now. We have now to move on to iOS 17, and that bug is actually very, very serious. What we talked about, go ahead and take a look at the article. It's actually really serious, so make sure you update all of your devices to iOS 16. So that's it for this video, guys. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.